Well, I stopped by the lumber yard today to get some venting, basically for a ventless type system that I've got going on right here. You know, the other roof, I didn't vent it, and so far it's doing well. I've also seen other people that have basically crammed insulation in and didn't vent their roof. But I decided to go ahead and get this material right here. It's called DuraVent. Basically it staples to the underside of the sheathing that you have for the roofing system, the outer sheathing, and then it allows the airflow through there. Well, when I picked this up, they only had one package of these, and these right here was the other. This one is called, well, it doesn't really have a name, but it's basically the same thing. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it doesn't have, this one has wings on the side to be able to staple to. But this one right here, if you can see, it doesn't have much of a wing to staple to, so I may have to bend it a little bit to get it in there. But I did pick some of these up to be able to start the insulation in the roof. And also I had to special order the doors, the front and the back door. I decided to go ahead, I was going to build the front door myself, but I decided, since I'm trying to get in here sooner, that I would just go ahead and buy the front and the back door, get those hung, and get on with finishing the cabin on the inside. But they basically only stock doors in their inventory for 4-inch walls. And since this is a 6-inch wall, you know, I basically, well, actually, I think it was 6 9/16 is what I ordered. That they actually had on the computer to, if you special order anything wider, then it would have taken a little bit longer. But I've got the 3.5-inch stud wall. Then I've got the horizontal cladding, which I use 2x4s, so it would be a lot stouter to screw into my siding. So when you add that in there, that's 5 inches. Then I used 1-inch material for my board and batten, so that makes 6 inches. And then by the time I add, and you know, may give or take a little bit by the time you add all this together, and then by the time I get my 1/2-inch siding or interior on, that's going to bring it out to about 6.5 inches. So I went ahead and special ordered the doors. They said it would take about 4 weeks for those to come in, so they should be here by the end of the month. But I do have the front door and the back door ordered. They're both metal doors, primarily made the same, and they're both made for a deadbolt. So when I get those in here, that'll be nice. And like I said, I can get on with doing some more things, and I won't have to take the time out to build the front door. So anyway, they are ordered and they should be here in about 4 weeks. I don't know if you've seen one of these before, but this item right here is a, not really sure what you call it, but it's basically geothermal. You set it up on top of the stove, and as the stove heats up, it actually generates energy to turn the fan. So the hotter the stove gets, the faster the blade turns. And it has something to do with these little wings on the back side right here. But I've seen these in other videos before. Like I say, you set it down on the stove top, and as the stove starts heating up, it basically starts turning. And like I say, the more heat, the faster it goes. So, you know, I'm going to get radiant heat, of course, out of the stove, out of the pipe. The stove also has a built-in fan on the back, so I've wired in a plug back there to be able to plug it in. You know, I do still have to work on my solar power up here, but I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and put it on a rheostat. That way I can turn the fan down low. It does have a low and a high speed, but I want to be able to adjust that even more to regulate the temperature in here. And of course, you know, I'm not sure that the fan, I can do that, but I'm going to check it out and see if I can. Then I will have this fan also turning here, and then I will have my ceiling fans. I've decided to put 5 of them in here. You know, heat rises, so I decided to go ahead and put 5 fans in. You know, the cabin is primarily laid out in 6 squares. One square being the back side here by the back door, which includes the bathroom and the desk area that I'm going to use to edit videos and things. But since the bathroom is going to get a ceiling over the top, primarily for privacy, I decided not to put a fan up above that because it's actually going to have a ceiling on it. So the other 5 areas, which I'm standing underneath one where this area for this open living room is, right underneath where the purlins go across, I'm going to hang a ceiling fan. So I'll also have the ceiling fans, you know, when the hot air is rising in the wintertime, especially using the stove, I'll reverse those and be able to use the heat that's rising and forcing it back down. And then of course in the summertime, turn them in the opposite direction and be able to keep air circulating in here. I've decided to go ahead and use the ceiling fans that don't have lights because we're going to have, my son's actually going to make sconce lights that I'm going to hang throughout the cabin. So the only switch that I'm going to wire in is to turn the fan on and off. I'm not going to have the pull chain, you know, to turn the light on and off, or the fan or anything. So, but yeah, I'll have several avenues to be able to circulate heat in the wintertime, and then also be able to keep the air circulating in the summertime. So I'm excited about getting this thing insulated using that radiant barrier. Hopefully it's going to do its job, and it will stay a whole lot cooler in the summertime and stay a whole lot warmer in the wintertime. So yeah, I just wanted to show that to you because I thought that that was pretty neat. It's just another way to circulate air out of some sort of heating system that you have. And like I say, it works on heat, geothermal somehow, and it's pretty cool. They also sent a magnetic thermostat that basically just sticks onto the stove, and you can tell what the temperature is. So that's pretty cool too. If you can see right here, these are the plants that didn't fare well when we had a freeze, but I've got a lot of new green shoots coming out, so they may make it. There's probably a couple of those that I will intend on replacing, but like this one back here, it lost all of that. So what I think I'm going to do is just kind of pull off these brown stems right here and let that plant focus more on growing what it's the new greenery that's coming out right here. But yeah, we had several days that it was overcast and really rainy, so they have actually like I said, come out with a bunch of new green shoots, so I think that they're going to make it. So I'm excited about the tomato plants. You can also see that I've got beans coming up everywhere. There's a couple of areas that I didn't really get any shoots come up. There's one right there that's actually coming out. But I've got beans coming up everywhere, and I know that with what I've got here, they'll provide quite a bit. But all of the beans are looking good and really strong, so I'm excited about those too. Well, my cucumbers and my cilantro is also looking good. With the plants, of course, I've got a few that died back, but I will get a few more to replace those, but all of those are looking good. Then I've got corn peeking out. I've got corn here starting to sprout out everywhere in this section that I didn't really have any plants or seed left that I actually wanted to put in this year, so I went ahead and put some of the golden sweet corn in here that doesn't grow too tall, but I will have some corn, so I'm excited about that. Then my cabbage plants down here. The cabbage, the cauliflower, and the broccoli plants, they're all looking good, as well as the ones that are behind me down here. So this is exciting to see those doing so well. Then my pepper plants, they're looking good. Even the ones that were kind of stunted, they're starting to come out. So it looks like all of the pepper plants, with the exception of maybe one, are actually doing okay. And then the onions, they're still going crazy down there. So the garden is beginning to look really good, especially with all of the days of the rain and the overcast that we had. So I'm excited about the garden because it's beginning to look a whole lot better than what it was. I still need to put some I haven't put any fertilizer in here, so I still intend on doing that. And it looks like I had a cutworm or something down there on some of the bean shoots, so I'll have to get, I actually bought some that's environmentally friendly, some fertilizer, so I'll get up here. It's supposed to be good for different insects and stuff, so I'll get up here and spray that and see that if it will help any. Well, I actually spent some time cleaning up in here the other day because, you know, I'm trying to finish the bedroom in there so that I can get moved in, like I've said before. But I also needed more area to work in, and I had a lot of lumber that was piled up here that I had worked over the winter, you know, doing and then framing the walls and stuff. So I actually spent time cleaning it up so that I would have more room to be able to work in, and then also moving my stuff in here. You know, I needed to put it as close to the front of the cabin as I could because I'm going to be working up overhead and getting material, you know, stuff falling down as I work. So I wanted to get it pushed as far front as I could because I'm going to need to work on everything on this side of the peak and then over on the other side, especially over the bedroom, so that I can get all of that done, get the wall material put in and everything so that I can actually have a place to sleep in and not have, like I said, have to worry about, you know, material falling. So get all of that done. And I needed a space, like I said, to work in. Probably the kitchen is the last thing that I'm going to work on because I do have the outdoor kitchen, and hopefully a lot of this will be done by fall. But I've got all the rest of the spring and all summer to be able to cook out there in the outdoor kitchen. So this may be one of the last areas that I work on. I'll probably go ahead and get the bathroom done and get it out of the way. So I will have to run some plumbing, and since I don't have a lot of material here that would have to be moved, primarily all of my plumbing, especially up front in the kitchen, is going to be on this wall right here. So I do have a pipe that goes out underneath the footer down here. I still have some sort of a cistern or a tank that I'm going to have to put in for my gray water, and I'm probably going to use that to water the lawn and the garden, you know, be able to pump that out because I don't want to just waste it. But I'll be able to catch the water, you know, from the sink and from the bathtub to be able to utilize that. So I'll put all that plumbing on the front right here. All of this is basically utility. I will have a washer over here, so I'll have to do that. And then the bathroom tub. So I'm excited about getting moved in here and being able to finish the rest of this at my leisure, and just being able to spend more time here, not having to fight traffic and the mob in town, and just so looking forward to all of the peace and contentment that I get, you know, being out here doing the things that I do. So, well, I want to take a little time out and answer some comments that were being made. Somebody wanted to know if I was going to be getting chicks or grown chickens. The farmers market, you know, I think that they have both kinds. I'm not really sure, but I'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to have to get whatever is available to me, but I'm excited about getting that pin done. Somebody also said, with all your future projects, you must feel like a kid in a candy store. I tell you what, it's really fun doing what I'm doing up here. I enjoy working on the cabin, but I enjoy more working on these crazy buildings that I'm building, like the compost toilet. If you're new to the channel, I've got a whole series on my daughter and I last summer building that, so be sure and check that out. The outdoor kitchen, I had a lot of fun working on it. I've also got a whole series on that. Check that out. And I'm developing the series on the chicken house. That's a whole lot of fun too. I've got some other projects in mind, so you all be sure and stay tuned for those, because like my daughter said in one of the last videos, what are we going to build next? But it's a whole lot of fun working on those different projects. Somebody said if I had some spare roofing material to use that on the plywood that I've got set up for the chickens. I think what I'm going to do is staple some chicken wire underneath the roofs that I've got. Some people were concerned about chickens falling over in there. Of course, the plywood doesn't go all the way to the side, so if they did fall down in there, they would be able to walk to the edge and actually get out. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. That way, if one does step off one of the roosts, you know, they would still be at the same level. And then the other thing, I'm looking for some linoleum or some sort of, you know, scrap material, throwaway material that I can actually lay or glue onto that board, just to be able to, you know, keep it dry so that it will last a whole lot longer. So, you know, even though the chicken house may appear to be done, it's not quite done. I've still got a handrail to build on the front and some other things to do to it. But I've got, you know, 4 weeks till the first of the month to be able to do that when the farmers market opens, because they're only open, I think it's the first Monday of every month. So I've got some time to be able to finish up all the details that I need to do, but it's exciting to be able to get chickens because I like having them, I like hearing them, and especially the eggs that I'm going to be getting, and of course the video that I'll be able to bring you all. And also, you know, I do intend for them to, you know, supply, because I'm trying to be as self-sufficient as possible to supply, you know, meat and things like that. The garden, you know, I'm not done with it. I've still got other areas that I'm going to build next year, but in order to be able to get planted what I needed to plant, by the time I got done putting the siding on, I didn't have a whole lot of time to get those raised beds put in there. So I'll plant what I can this year, and then next year I'll add some more raised beds behind the cabin up there. But that's making great use of that bank that I really can't do anything else with. You know, I've had some other comments about the onions, and I've been learning some things on YouTube by watching. I did watch one that's talking about clipping the greens. That way the plant focuses more on developing the bulb on the bottom. But I also learned that one woman was talking about the difference between sets, which is what I use, which is basically, she said it was a 2-year onion. I guess what they do is they grow them and then they keep them like that to resell them, and or the slips. So they have onion slips. She said the slips are the ones that turn out the larger onions. So next year I'm going to try the slips. We had always bought the sets. So I'm going to try next year, like I said, the sets, because they've already got the root system on them. And I also watched another YouTube video where he talked about the same thing. I can't remember, I think it was called Haas, which is a company that actually sells gardening type supplies and fertilize and things like that. So be sure and check them out. That was very interesting. But I'm going to try, like I said, I'm going to try the sets next year if I can find them. And she also said that on her video that once the, I guess you call it the stalk, starts to lay over, that's when she would go in there and prune hers so that it didn't break off. And she also talked about spooning the onions, which was digging the dirt around them, around the base where the bulb is, and down almost close to the root, okay, which allows the onion, by pruning the stalk, and allows the onion more space to develop on the bulb. She said that that the onions did not like to compete for space to grow. So by spooning this or uncovering the dirt around it allowed the bulb to actually grow bigger. She also talked about the need to fertilize the onions, that they were, she called them heavy feeders, to give them fertilize, and she talked about the different types of fertilize, and I don't really remember. I'm going to have to check more into it, but I have been watching some videos on it. But to grow those great big bulbs like people really like, she said to do that, and also to water them a whole lot because they require a whole lot of water. There are several videos on growing the large big bulb onions, so check those out. You know, I'm hoping that these onions, the ones that I planted in the hills, some of the dirt is moving away from the base. They're still looking really good, so I'm hoping that that area right there will cause that bulb to grow out. I am going to try to clip those because basically she was saying that the onion bulbs just provide green onions. So I'm going to try to go ahead with the ones I've got, clip those, and use those for cooking, put them in salads and things like that, and we'll see, you know, once they start to lay over, we'll see that if it causes the plants that I do have to be able to focus on the bulb more. So yeah, be sure and check those out. Another guy also mentioned to use some Epsom salts and add that to your tomatoes and peppers. Sprinkle it over the soil because it's magnesium sulfate. It's all natural because they need a lot of magnesium to grow and produce. The old farmers, that's an old farmer's trick, that he said that they would produce 3 times as much and grow better. And you can't add too much because there's no salt in Epsom salts. So I'm going to get a bag of that and I'm going to try it. You know, the plants that I thought were going to die, actually, since we had all this rain, I've got a bunch of new green leaves spread out on those plants. There's still a couple that are all brown that I'll probably have to replace those, but the plant itself is surviving and it's coming back out, so that's really good. So everything is looking good after the several few days of rain that we've had. You know, another person says, why don't you live in your tiny home while you're working on the cabin? Wasn't that what it was purchased for? Well, yes, actually it was. I had a motorcycle, you know, and when I started working up here at the Outpost, clearing the property and everything to start building, I actually didn't ride it that much. So I found a guy that wanted a motorcycle and had this little tiny home, so I worked out a trade with him. But honestly, this cabin is full of tools, it's full of supplies and materials, so I couldn't move in here if I wanted to. And you know, I could move everything out of here into the cabin, but then there would be that much less room that I could have to work in. I'd have to shuffle everything around like I do now anyway, moving my stuff out here. So, but yeah, that's why I don't stay in the little tiny home, because I've actually converted it into basically a humongous shed. So that's why I'm not living in the tiny home. You know, somebody was talking about building a Murphy bed in the guest room. I've actually got in mind, that's going to be a project, is building some beds, the frame out of rustic material, kind of like I've done the little compost toilet and the chicken house, but I'm actually going to cut myself some timber, going to shave the bark off of it, and build the head and the foot of the bed out of that material, and I'll use some mortise and tenon joints for the rails and so forth to set the box springs on and stuff like that. So that's a project that's coming up. Y'all be sure and stay tuned for that, because I thought about that in the beginning when I was building this cabin, about making some of my own furniture, and the beds shouldn't be too hard and should be a whole lot of fun, so y'all stay tuned for that. You know, another comment that I keep getting all the time is giving God the glory for what's going on up here. And honestly, folks, you know, I'll be honest with you, I've been blessed my whole life. You know, I've had a lot of ups and downs, but I don't think of the downs, you know, at anything other than learning experience. I wouldn't trade or change my life in any way. I think that it makes you stronger. It makes you the person who you are. So I am thankful for all of the hardships that I've had. You know, I think that you just look at those as a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Because if you can learn from your mistakes and look for the blessing that's in disguise, then you are much richer than someone who only looks at the negative side. So learn from your experiences, grow from them, and they will serve to make you stronger and to make you wiser and then that is the person that you will become. So I do give God all the glory for everything that we've got up here, because we've been blessed with a nice section here in the Smoky Mountains. We've got a lot of resources at our disposal here, and I'm just thankful to have enough skill to be able to utilize those resources and re-engineer something that we can use as a homestead up here. I'm thankful, to be able to have retired. I guess retire. Most people think of retirement as doing nothing except, traveling and doing a lot of things that they couldn't do when they were younger. And I certainly, intend to do some of that. But right now I'm having a great time working on this homestead building. To me, this is really relaxing to be able to get up and to come out here and do this. And I'm so looking forward to being here full time, where I can spend more time, doing the things that I enjoy doing. But yeah, I do give God all the glory for all of the blessings that I've got in my life, and to be able to share those experiences with you. And we're just, appreciative of the fact that so many people enjoy watching the content that we like to bring to you. So thank you so much for all of your support on both of our channels. My son, my daughter, and I, we can't thank you enough for that. We feel honored and blessed to be able to bring to you our monthly giveaways. So if you're new to this channel, be sure and check those out, not only on this Outpost review channel, but our main channel, Smoky Mountain Outpost. We're excited about our new milestone giveaways, so be sure and go to our website to check out the details on the giveaways. We want to thank you so much, like I said again, for your support. Thank you for sharing our content with other people. We want to keep you involved in the growth of this channel, and we just can't thank you enough. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. We hope that everyone has a great day. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.